Why the hell would I take a test? Come on, man. That's like saying before you got in this program, if you take a test where you're taking cocaine or not, what do you think, huh? I am very willing to let the American public judge my physical and mental my physical as well as my mental fitness, and to make a judgment about who I am.
All right, that soundbite dating back to August 5th, 2020. President Joe Biden marked 5 months in office on Sunday, and over the past several months, stretching back into the campaign, as you just saw, there have been questions from both sides of the aisle about his cognitive health, including from the man who served as White House physician and for the past decade and also treated President Donald Trump. Congressman and Dr. Ronny Jackson is joining us this morning. Congressman, so nice to have you here in studio. Nice to see you christening our Wake Up America couch.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It's an honor to be here.
Yeah, it's great to have you. You and 14 other Republicans are now calling on President Biden to take a routine cognitive test so the American people, who you say have the right to know what the results of this test are, so they know the cognitive health of the president. Tell us about this.
Well, absolutely. I've been saying this even when President Biden, then candidate Biden, was running for office, that I thought there were some significant issues going on. Right? I think that we can look back. We got 40 years of tape. We can go back and we can look at this man. He's always made gaffes, but these are really different right now. He's having a lot of just real basic cognitive issues where he can't remember things. He seems confused about where he's at and what he's doing. And this most recent trip where he went overseas, I think he kind of embarrassed us to some extent because he didn't look like he was in control. And he's not inspiring confidence in the American people. He's not inspiring confidence in our allies, and he's sending the wrong message to our adversaries. So I think that it's time that the American people get an objective assessment of what his cognitive capabilities really are. And that starts with a cognitive screening test, just like the one that I administered when I was President Trump's physician.
So President Trump did take this test?
Absolutely.
And he scored well?
He scored 30 out of 30 on the test. It's a screening test looking for early cognitive decline. He scored 30 out of 30 on it. And he's the first president to ever do it. We did it because the far left, the liberal media, and academic medicine was jumping up and down demanding that he have this test, that he get a physical exam with a cognitive test of some sort. So we did it. We submitted. President Trump willingly did it. And that new standard has been set now. That's the precedent.
Yeah.
And President Biden needs to follow his lead.
As has happened, by the way, historically. A sitting president will establish a new standard, and then that standard becomes the norm. What sort of questions are on these cognitive examinations?
Well, it's not a detailed, aggressive cognitive assessment. It's a screening tool, right? And you're doing a physical exam on somebody, an annual physical exam. You screen for cancer, you screen for heart disease. You're doing all these screening, looking for early signs of something. You find things early on. This is a cognitive screening test. It's put together to find early cognitive decline, and it has some real simple tasks on it. Naming task, memory task, where it has animals on there. Can you name the animal? It has countdown from 100 by 7. I'm gonna name some words. I want you to repeat these words. I'm gonna ask you again in 5 minutes. I want you to repeat these words again. Some spatial orientation stuff. Can you draw three-dimensionally a box? There's a box there, and you copy it, but it's kind of a three-dimensional test. So they're very basic tasks that deal with real basic functions in your brain. But that's what you're looking for.
And have you heard from the White House?
I have not.
They're not going to take this afternoon or something.
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. So you said June is National Brain Awareness Month, by the way. So I think the timing here is very good. 1 in 3 seniors dies with Alzheimer's or some form of dementia. Joe Biden's a 78-year-old man. Now, I want to be very clear. We're not saying that Joe Biden has Alzheimer's or dementia. That's something that a cognitive test like this could give us some sort of inclination if he was struggling mentally. But what you wrote and what 13 other members have signed on to as well is that this is about the American people. They have the right to know, and there have been examples of the president sort of losing his way and losing his train of thought. Is that, and you're a doctor, you were in the White House for more than 10 years, is that a symptom? Is that something that we see generally and when dementia is in its early stages?
Absolutely. That's exactly what we see. And we look at this, I'm not making a diagnosis with President Biden. I'm not his physician. I didn't take care of him from a medical standpoint when I was in the White House. But like I said, you don't have to be a physician to see something's going on here. So yeah, that is the kind of stuff we look for. And he's a special case because he's 78 years old. He's the oldest president we've ever had. He's older than Reagan was when Reagan left office now. And he's still got over 3 years left. So I think those are the issues. Plus, it's open source documented. Even during the campaign, they talked about it. That early on, he'd had 2 aneurysms, and one of them resulted in a hemorrhagic stroke. So he's already had some issues where he's had some potentially a little bit of brain damage that could be manifesting itself now that he's older.
Let me play you a soundbite. This is Joe Biden. He's introducing his Secretary of Defense, and he just, it seems by the way I see it, that he forgets Lloyd Austin's name.
Right.
And I know you referenced this, but take a listen, and then we'll get some reaction.
I want to thank you both, and I want to thank the former general. I keep calling him general, but the guy who runs that outfit over there. I want to make sure we thank the secretary for all he's done to try to implement what we've just talked about.
Okay, so he's known Lloyd Austin for over 20 years.
Right.
It seems like he forgets his name there. Now, we all forget things, but when you saw that, what did you think as a physician?
Well, I thought it was concerning. I think a lot of people did. And it looked like he not only forgot the defense secretary's name, but he forgot the name of the Pentagon.
Right.
That's just not normal. I mean, so I think that it raised a lot of red flags. I think that's just continued. I think these things are going to continue to get worse. He's working in a very protected environment right now. They're only rolling him out on certain days where I think he has good days. They're giving him pre-screened questions from the press, telling him who to call on, giving him talking points for each of the questions. And even then, he's struggling to look like he has any level.
Was that exposed last week in Switzerland?
Absolutely.
As well?
I think it was exposed. He was exposed on a world stage, which is unfortunate for us. We're being tested every day. The Biden administration is by Russia, by China, by Iran. And we are not inspiring the confidence in our allies, and we're sending the wrong message, like I said, to our adversaries. We're not passing the tests that are being put before us.
We've got about 30 seconds left. Just a quick question. Some on the left are saying this is ridiculous to assume something like this, that the Republicans would want to test the president's cognitive ability. What would you say to anybody who is critical of something like this?
I would say just stand by. I'll come back on your show in the next 12 months or so, and we'll talk about it again, because it won't just be me talking about it. It'll be the Democrats talking about it, because this is going to get worse, not better.
I agree with you, Congressman. I think this is sort of an open secret right now in Washington, and I hope the president does choose to take a cognitive test like this. Congressman Ronny Jackson, so nice seeing you again. Thanks so much for coming on with us this morning.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.